Welcome everybody to the Scoreboard. I'm Conrad Iacobellis.
And I'm Ryan Kostecka. Thanks for joining us.
We have a good show for you today. Coming up on today's episode of the Scoreboard, we're going to be talking Park City Soccer. They played against Springville earlier this week, came out with the win. We'll go more in depth with that in just a little bit. And then Ryan caught up with MckNight Peterson. He was a former lacrosse player at Park City who took a gap year and is now coaching Park City boys lacrosse. And then last but not least, we're going to be talking Park City girls lacrosse. They came out and they played against Highland, had an absolutely dominant victory against Highland, and we'll get into that later in the show. But as I said, let's jump into Park City boys. They came out and played against Springville. This was at Dozier Field, and it was a wet, cold, rainy, sleety, snowy day at Dozier Field. But Park City came out with the win 3-2, and it was a chippy, aggressive, physical game.
I mean, you said it best when you said chippy and aggressive. That's exactly what the game was. It was great to see. I mean, for Park City, you've got to love that your team's going to stand up from the physicality from a Springfield point. Talking to Coach Matthew GILMOUR at the end, he was very proud of his team, very pleased with, the composure they showed. Obviously, things got away from them a little bit with some of the penalties. They want to have some of those back. But for the most part, I mean, they kept their composure, and it led to, that goal in the 75th minute. That was a huge win for them.
Yeah, Park City was up 2-1, and then made a penalty in the box, which let Springville score to tie it up 2-2. And then Park City made it 3-2. I want to say with like 10 minutes left in the game. But Coach GILMOUR, when we were talking to him afterwards, he said, we knew this was going to be a physical team. Like that's the first thing he said when we said, hey, what did you think of Springville? And he said, they were going to be physical. We knew they were going to be physical. And boy, was it physical. I mean, I'm surprised there weren't a lot of red cards or yellow cards, but they let the boys play, and I mean, they did.
I think it's great, though, for Park City to kind of experience that. There were 2 yellow cards the entire game, and both of them essentially were because for talking back to the ref. Not even for any fouls committed. It was more for talking back to the ref. Springville received both of them. So at that point, it was really good to see, Park City really thrive and kind of keep their composure for the most part. But they've jumped up to 5A like you and I have talked about. They're at 5A now. Get used to that physicality. It's a completely different than 4A. It's completely different right now. So I think it was really good to see Park City understand what it's like to face that physicality in 5A, get used to it, and then not only that, you come out on top with a victory. That's huge.
Well, and I think you kind of show, hey, we're not here to be pushed around. This was Park City's first game kind of the regular season. They had a tournament, I believe, down in St. George where they went 2-0, so they had a good outing there. But to come home, win your first game 3-2, and to prove that you can hang with a 5A team like Springville that you knew was going to be physical, I think says a lot about Park City Soccer and where they are, considering, they didn't have a season last year.
Exactly. I mean, well, think about it this way. The last time Park City played on Dozier Field, it was a loss to Wasatch, their rival.
Yeah, and I was at that game, yeah.
So, I mean, that's never good. So this game was able, in a way, you finally put that in, in your rearview mirror. In a way, it's kind of a return to normalcy for the kids. You're putting COVID in the rearview mirror. You're back to doing what you do. I mean, all around, it was a great result. Park City played very well. There are just so many victories for Park City alone than just the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were talking about how we met up with Coach GILMOUR after the game, and why don't we check out a bit of that interview right now?
Yeah, no, it was a good result. We're we're making strides to improve our game, but today was Springville were a tough opponent today. They were very physical, and I thought we handled it pretty well, especially towards the end.
Yeah. I mean, they were a very physical team. Is that something you kind of expected coming into this, knowing Springville?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they had, I think, 12 seniors on their team.
Yeah,
so
and 1 sophomore.
Yeah, exactly. So I spoke to the boys before the game, and I said, listen, these guys have a fully stacked senior team, and they're going to be physical. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like we could have maybe handled certain situations better, but all in all, I'm pleased with the performance.
So, I mean, obviously, it's been a long, start to the season, you could say, with last year being canceled. You're 3-0, 3 games into the year. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, are you seeing the progression you want to see from your team?
So far, so good, yeah. Last year was such a disappointment. I had probably the same amount of seniors on my team, and they obviously couldn't finish the season. So I think, coming into this season with a pretty much a fresh squad, I think we've handled everything the way I've expected it so far, and I'm hoping we can still continue to improve as we go throughout the season.
you know, Park City comes into this game. They're ranked 4th in Region 8, Springville 7th in Region 8. And I think, you know, having Park City be 4th in Region 8 and coming out 3-0 in the first 3 games, as we said earlier, this is their jump to 5A. This is showing that Park City soccer is here to be in 5A. They're going to be hopefully a powerhouse in this division. And Ryan and I were talking about, I believe last week, when we were out filming lacrosse, there were so many boys trying out for the soccer team that this is a team that looks like it has the depth, it has the seniority to hopefully carry it far into playoffs.
It does. I mean, there were tons of kids out there, so I think it was great to see that. But, you know, like Coach Gilmour was talking about, they lost, you know, 12 seniors or multiple seniors from last year's team, very senior-laden team. So this year, they're not quite as old, but they're a little younger, but they have the experience, though, and they have the drive and the work ethic. You saw it in those tryouts. It was an extremely physical tryout. It was great to see. The team played it like a real game. And just to come out and get the win today against Springville was just massive for them. I do think Park City is on the up and up when it comes to soccer, especially at the 5A classification. They proved that against Springville. I'm curious to see how they prove it moving forward.
For Park City, Evan Sandis, Carlos Lagunas, and Josh Benovich had the 3 goals for Park City. The one thing I will say about Park City that we both noticed about this team is they had a little issue with communication within the boys itself, and I think this kind of lends to it being the first year after COVID. But with that being said, if they can handle their communication, if the boys can talk a little bit more, they were chipping a little bit on the sidelines with each other, not even with Springville, but just Park City within themselves. If they can fix that, this team could be scary because otherwise they played really well. They were communicating on the field, although it was sometimes a little bit of a chippy communication.
Exactly. I mean, that's what to be expected, though. I mean, it's the first time they're really playing at home in over a year. I really believe that chippiness is good. You kind of need that little bit of edge, especially in a physical game like Springfield where you're already on edge, you're used to getting fouled, you're trying to hold up your end of it. I really believe that edginess that Park City showed is going to help them moving forward. The good thing, though, it seemed like it was just labeled to a single match. It wasn't, you know, there's no long-standing dissent within the program or anything of that nature. It just seemed like in those moments, a little bit of chippiness went at each other, and I think that's good, though. I think it's what you needed, and hey, Park City got the win. I think there's nothing to, you know, really shame your head about.
Let's hope they can carry that edginess into their next game. They are facing against Provo on March 23rd, and then they have a big game Saturday against Wasatch down in Wasatch for soccer. I mean, it's a rivalry. It's going to be big. We're going to be there. We're going to bring you the coverage of that. So Park City, again, picking up the win against Springville, 3-2. And again, their next game is the 23rd at Provo. So let's see if they can continue this winning streak and get to 4-0 on the season. We have to take a commercial break, but when we come back, Ryan will be talking to MckNight Peterson.
Hi, this is Ryan Kostecka with Park City Television. Joining me today is MckNight Peterson. How you doing, bud?
Good, how are you?
Good. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course.
Basically, we're just going to talk to you about, you know, your college career, or your high school career, essentially. You know, going to Princeton, taking a gap year, and now you're back coaching Park City Lacrosse.
Yeah, I mean, because of COVID, I took a gap year. I decided that it wasn't best for me to go to Princeton this year and wait a year. So, I mean, I made the right call in the end, and I'm really excited to be coaching.
So before we kind of dive into that, let's talk about, you know, your high school career ended last year. I mean, obviously it was a very successful one. You know, you played football, you played lacrosse. So what are your thoughts right now moving forward? And just if you have to look back on your high school career, what comes to mind when you think of it?
Lots of fun. I miss it a lot, too. I mean, the friends that I made through the lacrosse and football team are friends for the rest of my life. And I miss it. I honestly do miss. There's nothing like high school sports. And I mean, I was proud to be a minor. You were there with our long, my senior year of football run, 2 state championships in lacrosse. I don't know, just lots of fun.
You could definitely say it was a successful year. I mean, that's for sure. A successful career, that is. But, you know, if you had to choose, was it the state title run? Obviously, you didn't finish it off your senior year, or was it the 2 lacrosse state titles? If you had to pick one, you know, what would mean more to you?
God, I can't do that. No.
You can't choose that one?
No, because I mean, like that, there was nothing like. Okay, if I could choose, maybe the 2nd state championship, and I'd rather take the football run than the 2nd state championship. But that first state championship was really meaningful because I was with my older brother.
That's true, yeah.
So I couldn't choose.
So okay, so obviously, you know, your high school career ended. You were going to go to Princeton to play. What are your thoughts on going to Princeton? Why Princeton? And then, you know, talk about what moved you to take this gap year? Is it COVID related or what was it?
So yeah, I'm really ecstatic first off to go to Princeton. It was my top school, obviously, and I love the atmosphere that the coaches have created there with the locker room. I'm just really excited to go there. But the reason I went to Princeton was because of that atmosphere, and my older brother is also there right now, so that's also a big bonus for me, because he's family and means a lot to me. But yes, I took a gap year because it was COVID related, because I took a betting guess that the Ivy League would cancel lacrosse season, and if that happened and I took online school, I'd still have to, I only get 8 semesters at Princeton.
Yeah.
So if I started online even and I didn't get to play, I would lose a year at eligibility at Princeton, and I didn't want to play another year anywhere else.
Exactly. No, that makes total sense for you. Now, you know, you talk about your brothers at Princeton. Your sister Lauren, you know, she's over at Virginia playing lacrosse. Talk about, you know, how athletic is your family? And is it safe to say, I know there's other rival families there, but are you guys maybe the most athletic family in Park City?
I don't know about that, but my sister, yeah, she's my twin sister actually, and she's at Virginia. That was her dream school ever since we were little. I don't know, it kind of helped that we all pushed each other a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, my older brother pushing me and my sister, and then I'm pushing my sister too. Like when people ask who's the best lacrosse player in the family, and I say Lauren.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know. She'll probably agree with you knowing her.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about this now. You know, after, you know, you decided to take the gap year, you came back to Park City. You know, you're here now. You're coaching lacrosse. Talk about what does it mean to coach, and what, you know, why did you choose to coach?
I mean, like I said and explained, my awesome time here at Park City High, I would like to give back a little.
Yeah.
And kind of, because I want others to experience the great time that I had, and that includes in sports.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to give back, and I love the game of lacrosse, and I love giving back too. So.
Does it feel, I mean, you know, you kind of helped build the Park City lacrosse program as it was. You know, you're technically the reigning state champions. Obviously, last year was canceled, was your senior year. You know, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But do you feel like, you know, maybe as a coach coming back who've, you know some of the kids who's played recently, do you feel like your voice really carries weight with them?
Yeah, you know, I like to think to myself that they listen to me. But I did play with a lot of them, and I was the captain of some of them, so I do feel like it does carry over my voice. I don't know how much with the younger kids, just because I don't know if they know me as much, but I do feel the older seniors respect my voice.
Do you feel that, you know, maybe it's, do you feel like you want to keep that culture that you guys have started? I mean, you started this culture at Park City, this championship, you know? That's what is expected. I mean, minors lacrosse, you have to win a title. That's what it's all about. Do you feel like, you know, maybe now as a coach, it's part of your responsibility to keep that culture and instill that in the younger kids?
Yes, definitely, for sure. And I mean, we had, and the difficulty of that is finding, obviously the championship mindset, but each team has a different chemistry.
Yeah.
Like, so the difference between my freshman and junior year and my sophomore year, like each team's different. So our goal is to find what makes our team click, that atmosphere, supply that to the team, and then yes, of course, expectation is the state championship.
So, you know, moving forward now, you're going back to Princeton next year. You're going to finally play lacrosse. Have you thought about what it will be for you, you know, playing college lacrosse and just being in the Ivy League? Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like literally a dream come true. Like ever since I was 6 years old, I wanted to play Division I lacrosse. So, yeah, I mean, like it's a dream come true. Like I'm so excited, and the coaches at Princeton are awesome, and I love Princeton and all the guys there. So I'm just ecstatic.
Awesome. Well, you know, I really appreciate you taking time to talk to us, man. Obviously, you know, you and I know each other. We'll be following your career along, and, you know, we'll see you on the field out there. So we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you know, thank you for joining us today, and we'll be right back after a commercial break.
Welcome back to the Scoreboard, everybody. I'm Conrad Iacobellis.
And I'm Ryan Kostecka. Thanks for joining us.
We are talking girls lacrosse right now. Park City versus Highland. And, well, if I can take away one thing from this game, it's that if you keep the ball on your opponent's side of the field, you are going to win. An absolutely dominant victory for Park City, beating Highland 20-1.
I mean, I think you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, dominating, that's kind of the only word you could really use. Park City absolutely just destroyed Highland. The Miners are great. I mean, let's just get right and say it. They're one of the top teams in 5A.
They are the top team in 5A. They were in the championship in 2019, which we'll get to later on in this segment. But they are a championship. They are a state win or bust team. I mean, they are lacrosse in both boys and girls. So to have Park City win 20-1 is not out of the ordinary. Of course, Park City, as I said, is number 1 in Region 8, Highland 5th in Region 6. So a little bit of a discrepancy in terms of probably the skill level of the team, with, again, Park City showing that, yeah, we are the number 1 team, and we're going to prove it by winning 20-1.
I mean, I talked to head coach MIKKI CLAYTON afterwards. That's exactly what she said, essentially. They believe that they have the talent, they have the makeup of the team to win a state title. That's their ultimate goal. But she also understands that's not going to get won overnight. And the biggest thing I took away from the interview with her postgame is that this is all about the team and working on the little things. They gave up 1 goal in the first half. She was not very pleased with their team's defensive effort. More along the effort lines, the communication. She thought Park City could be better. That's what she addressed the half, and Highland never even came close to scoring in the second half. I thought that, Coach CLAYTON did a great job. It's her first year as well, so she wasn't a part of the program in that 2019 state title loss. But she understands that, hey, some of these girls they want to win it. That's their goal. She's going to help them get there, but she understands what it's going to take. It's not going to get done overnight. It's a process, and I mean, I guess you could say, yesterday was a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, it was a great step in the right direction to see, it's kind of a litmus test, because it's one of those things where, when we talked about this with Wasatch softball, where, Wasatch softball beat Park City softball 19-0, where it's like, when you're that dominant of a team, you shouldn't play down to the level of your opponent. You should show, not rub it in, but definitely show, hey, we are, a dominant team. And one thing that I took away from this game is that they are very much a team-oriented play level, I guess you could say, where all the girls were getting involved. This wasn't just 1 girl to 2 girls, taking advantage and scoring all the goals. As we saw early in the highlights, they were passing it around the horn. They were giving it to everybody. Everyone was, touching the ball. Everyone was passing to each other. This is very much a team that has great camaraderie with each other, and with their skill level being the way it is. And I believe they have a freshman on their team that was absolutely dominant yesterday. But with having that level of skill in freshmen, having this led by a senior class that is ready to get back after the 2019 loss in the championship, this is a scary program going on right now in Park City.
I mean, Coach CLAYTON even said it. She knew Park City lacrosse. Before she even took the job, she knew all about it. Park City is a lacrosse town. That's what it is. The boys are very good. The girls are just as talented. This is a program that is ready to win that state title. It's the first time they're actually classified as a state-sanctioned sport. So it's a huge opportunity for Park City to come out and win that state title in their first year, and it's what the girls are shooting for. Like you said, though, it's a full team effort. There is not one certain player an opponent can key on, and Highland found that difficulty. I mean, like you said, the freshman was phenomenal. Junior Sam Riley played extremely well also. I just think this Park City team has the depth. They're incredibly athletic. I think that was the thing that jumped out to me the most, was their overall athleticism. I mean, it was very apparent that Park City knew what they were doing every second of the match, and it was just exciting to see.
Well, and one thing also to take away, which is kind of the polar opposite of what I said about the Park City boys soccer team, these girls were I mean, their chemistry was on point. They were talking to each other. They even were talking it up with Highland and congratulating them, and Highland was congratulating Park City, and I was shooting behind the Highland goalie, and there was a couple times where the Highland goalie was like, yeah, no, that was a great shot, and you could see some of the Highland girls were even impressed with the skill level of Park City. And this is a deep team. This team is huge. This isn't going to be a team where they're going to have to be rotating, to replace me because of an injury. This is a team that's like, oh, hey, you've been jogging for two more minutes than you want to. Yeah, we can rotate in and out. So a very scary team. And you talked about catching up with Coach CLAYTON after the game. So let's hear a little bit of that interview right now.
Gosh, I would say a big thing would be like, I just love team play, right? I don't ever want people to be like one individual star. I want it to be the whole team plays well, whether it's, low D, the goalies, the midfield ride. So just like getting them to like work and learn to play together. And then just fundamentals, right? Like any sport, it's all about the fundamentals and just when those skills get good, then everything else follows. So, yeah.
So, if you had to choose, what was kind of the benefit of today? Was it more the defense, the offense? Obviously, Highland's, not quite up to Park City, level. But for you, what kind of do you really want to work on when it comes to a game like this?
Yep. I would say defense is always one. We're always working on a good defense, a good, strong defensive unit. Protecting our goalies is always huge. So it's just, again, it's like I keep hitting it home, but it's all about the team play. So we really want our defense to play as a unit. We want our attack to work as a unit. And it just all kind of falls across the board.
Of course, Coach Clayton right there talking about what she wanted to see in her team at such a dominant game. When you win 20-1, you could say at that point, oh, we don't really have much to work on. But she was like, no, we need to work on defense. Like, she wasn't mad that they gave up that one goal, but she was definitely like, we shouldn't have given up that one goal.
Exactly. She understands that to win a state title, perfection is going to be needed to get that game. To win that state title, walk away with it. So she wants to implement that and expect that of her team right now. If they start expecting that of themselves, there are going to be multiple games this year where they're going to come up against largely inferior opponents. So Park City's got to work on certain things. Okay, this is a team we should beat. Let's try and shut them out. Let's try and do certain things that are going to help us achieve our goal in the end. Establishing those kind of methods and that kind of mentality right now is going to pay massive dividends moving forward. And, it could pay as early as Monday. We'll find out.
And if you want to hear more from Coach Clayton, make sure you tune into ParkCity.tv on Sunday, where you get to see Ryan's entire interview with her, where they discuss more about the game and more about their upcoming game, which is against Harriman. Now, this is a big game because in 2019, Park City Girls Lacrosse was the #1 team. They were in state, they were undefeated, and they lost to Harriman in state. It was one of the biggest upsets I can remember since covering Park City sports, and they are playing them on a Monday in Park City, and this is a huge game for the girls.
It really is. I mean, you don't ever want to hang on to the past, but when you lose a state title game in that regard, you can't help but hang on to the past. So I'm excited to see what Park City brings to that match. I think they're going to be ready for it. And like Coach Clayton said, it's a great measuring stick for they want to be in the end of the road.
So again, you can go to cheer on the Park City girls on a Monday at Dozier Field when they take on Harriman. For Ryan Kostecka, I've been Conrad Iacobellis. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Scoreboard. And again, there will be reruns Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m. and 12 p.m. And of course, on Sunday, tune into our web exclusive content with Coach Clayton for that entire interview. We will see you all next week.